Alright, so first off, the entire point of these practices is to target things that you had trouble with. You showed that you didn't understand at least a part of this concept. That's why I'm giving you a video on it with practice so that you can get better exactly what you're weak on. Alright, so standard 8-1, that's dealing with order of operations. So you can see we have two order of operations problems here. We're going to walk through these slowly, and then you're going to do the practice on the back. Alright, so if you do have trouble on these, the first thing you really want to do is just write down the word PEMDAS on the side of your paper and kind of just use that as a checklist as you're going through the problem. So we're going to look for parentheses in the problem. We see that we have that there. Inside of the parentheses, we actually need to follow order of operations also. So we see that we have subtraction and exponent. We're going to do every exponent before we do any subtraction. Okay? So we have 2 minus 3 on the outside, that didn't change, and it's now 9 minus 16. That's just 4 times 4. So we did the exponent part of that. We finished that part. We haven't finished everything in the parentheses, though. We still have this minus inside of there. So we're going to finish that part. 2 minus 3 times 9 minus 16 is a negative 7. Now we've done everything inside the parentheses. We can't simplify this anymore. Now we're going to look outside of the parentheses. We're done with that part. We took care of all the exponents, so we're done with that part. We have multiplication and division next. If we had both of those coming up, then we would work left to right. If we only see one of those, then we just do that operation before any addition or subtraction. So we have 2 minus 3 times negative 7. There's two different ways we can look at this. We can multiply negative 3 and negative 7. That would give us a positive 21. So this negative times a negative changes into a positive. That means this changes into a plus sign. 2 plus 21. Another way we could see that is 2 minus 3 times negative 7. We're really just going to deal with this part without dealing with the subtraction sign. It's 3 times a negative 7. So it's 2 minus 3 times negative 7 is a negative 21. You can see that these two are really the exact same thing. These are actually equal to each other. When we change that minus a negative to a plus, it's the exact same thing that we have written here. So this is really 2 plus 21, which is 23. Subtracting a negative is always the same thing as adding. You're subtracting a bad thing. It's really a good thing for your number. It's going to go up. All right, in number 2, it looks kind of tricky because we have that big fraction and we have a bracket and we have a set of parentheses. So it looks trickier. It's really not that bad. We just take it one step at a time. Again, we want to write PEMDAS on the side of our paper just to use that as a checklist. And the important thing here is that we understand that that and that are solved as completely separate problems. The top and bottom are solved separately. We're going to get a number on the top, and then get a number on the bottom, and then divide those two. That's the fraction part of it. We'll do the division problem. Okay, so there's two separate problems until the very end. So on the top we have to follow PEMDAS, on the bottom we have to follow PEMDAS. So let's just do on the top first. We have 2 parentheses. Really a bracket is just a different kind of parentheses. So we're going to work on the inside most parentheses first. We're going to start on the 3 minus 2 squared. We're going to do the exponent inside there first. That's 2 squared. We're going to rewrite everything else the same. 2 squared will give us 4. I'm going to keep working on that inside most parentheses. 3 minus 1 would give us a negative 1. So we've dealt with the inside most parentheses. Now we have these brackets, which again are pretty much just parentheses. So we're going to do that last step in there, that's subtracting a negative. It's really the same thing as adding. When you subtract a bad thing, subtracting a negative, it's the same thing as adding a good thing. We're adding a positive. That's 5 now times 5. And we know that equals 25. Alright, so that's the top number. Now we need the bottom number. We're going to do 8 minus, we're not going to do the subtraction first, we have to do that exponent first. So 2 squared is 4. And we'll do that subtraction to get the number on the bottom, which is just 4. Our last step is actually dividing this. You could just leave that as a fraction, really, because that's an improper fraction. It can't be simplified, or we can divide and get a decimal. That would be 6.25.